up, y'all? Just getting it in. Excuse me. Just gonna do a quick hit. I know it's off my normal time, and I know most of you are doing a number of other things, but I wanted to get one in today, and I appreciate y'all's willingness to support that. So I'm gonna give people a second. It's an off night for me, so I don't know how many people might be available. But shout out to you. Welcome back to the Onyx Reports, Black masculinist news for the day, where we uplift Black men and boys with critical analysis. So as you can see, I wanted to double down on one that my good brother Green Gorilla tackled the other day, where he looked at this whole issue of Mike Rashid. All right. What's up, Dr. Thunder? Good to see you in here. Hope all is well with you, sir. Appreciate that, brother BGS. Y'all make sure you like, share, subscribe, support, donate, support the show. Most particularly if you're able to do so with Cash App or PayPal. It's much appreciated. Help us keep the show going. Also, support the Institute for BlackMaleStudies.com. So InstituteForBlackMaleStudies.com. Check that out. Plenty of free material, videos, interviews, workshops, webinars, classes. Check that out. What's going on? Got a few people coming through. So like I said, it's going to be a quick hit, but I just wanted to get a few in. What's up, Donnie Mac? What's going on? Jarvis, Straight Fighter, what's happening? Yeah. So here's the thing. As some of you guys know, and I'm not going to play the video, but there was a piece released, an interview with, I think it's MMA fighter Mike Rashid, and he was talking about or answering a question about this issue regarding intimate partner violence, or domestic violence as we understand it, as it pertains to men and women. And his argument was that this is something that primarily women experience, and that's it. And my good brother Green Gorilla, please support his channel. Check out the last video he did. He went into depth breaking down how inaccurate this is. And what we know from the data is what most people avoid. And that is basically that, especially in the Black community, intimate partner violence is bidirectional. This is something that was really put out by Dr. Tommy Curry in The Man Not. And as usual, he has receipts, he has citations, and I've done videos breaking down that same information. So I'm not going to go into that tonight, because I think even though that work has already been done several times, most recently that yeoman's task fell to Green Gorilla, and beautifully, as usual, he provided the data. So check that out. Tonight, I'm going to go down a different line, one that tends to be a bit more anecdotal. And although I'm not necessarily a fan of the anecdotal, since the data has been broken down, I figure let's go anecdotal for the sake of the moment. So let's put this in here. All right. So this is Mr. Rashid, right? And so as I said, when asked about it, he was quite dismissive. He was very clear. And I believe he said something along the lines of 95% of the cases are pretty much something that women experience in terms of female victimization, right? What's up, Set in the West? Appreciate that. Good to see you. Right. 67 people are watching so far. So again, like the video, share, subscribe, join, and donate, right? But let's go forward a little bit. So who is this? This is 41-year-old Kristen Fitzgerald, Lake Wales City Commissioner, who was recently arrested for 2 felonies: interference with child custody and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Basically, Fitzgerald removed an 11-year-old child from his home without his parents' permission and threatened him with a gun. Year before, when the boy was 10, he allegedly did something with another child who was 12 at the time, presumably her daughter. The boy denied doing it. She abducted the 11-year-old child from his home, drove to a secluded area, pulled out a gun, and told him she will bury him. We're just going to look at different cases where men or boys, or I should say Black males in general, you'll see that in a moment, have been violated in different ways that we're told don't happen, right? So this starts with a then 10-year-old boy being threatened at gunpoint by a woman, because this doesn't happen, right? Okay, so that's the first one. If I don't remember to do it, remind me, and I will post all the links to each story I'm going to cover in the description. So if I forget to do it, put it in the comment section, remind me. I will go ahead and paste them in so you can go visit these yourself. All right, so this is the first case. All right, let's go to the next. In this one, I found pretty interesting, because as people were sending me the interview with Mr. Rashid, I literally saw this 5 minutes after watching the interview. Right? And you're right, Mo Bigsley. He's not the deepest of thinkers, but he's got a microphone and he's got a lot of attention. And so when we see these kind of issues misrepresented, it has a detrimental impact, particularly on Black men and boys whose victimization, vulnerability is not explored. This gentleman here posted this on Facebook, right? Now, mind you, here, I'll enlarge this so you can see it more closely. That was recent. What he says about it is domestic violence is real, and it ain't just men hitting women. I'm extra blessed to be alive. Still thanking the man upstairs. She was 3 centimeters from puncturing my heart. Sad when somebody claimed they love you, but would do this type of stuff to you. Stay woke, kings. Right? Stay woke. So this is a brother who's dealing with almost having been killed, presumably by the woman he loves. 3 centimeters from his heart. But this doesn't happen, right? Okay. Say, that's what we're talking about. That's where we are with it. All right. Let's look at another case. Like I said, I'm not going to stay up here long. I just want to shoot you a few things to consider. This is a piece you can find on Bradenton.com, right? And the title of it is Bradenton Woman, and I may be mispronouncing that. I apologize if I am. Bradenton woman faces up to life in prison for stabbing boyfriend to death. Bradenton woman faces up to life in prison after being found guilty of stabbing her boyfriend to death. After deliberating for several hours, a jury late Thursday found Roberta McDonald, 56, guilty of second-degree murder. McDonald will be sentenced on a date to be scheduled later. Anthony Bernard Wilson, also 56, was found dead inside his home in the Treesdale Apartments in East Bradenton on April 12, 2019. Says, I appreciate the jury's hard work in the case. This is coming from the prosecutor. It was a complex case. They clearly saw through it and in the end arrived at the right verdict. McDonald admitted to detectives that she stabbed Wilson, but claimed she had done so in self-defense because he was beating her. She said she had stabbed him once in the leg and that he was alive when she left his apartment. Wilson was stabbed from behind 5 times, prosecutors said. These aren't slashing type wounds. These are penetrating wounds delivered by Miss McDonald. See, the couple had a toxic relationship at best, he summarized. Wilson had long struggled with an addiction to crack cocaine, and their relationship was intertwined with drug use and drinking. The defense presented a timeline to the jury during closing arguments that intertwined most of the various accounts McDonald had given to detectives during videotaped interviews. The couple had been smoking crack, but McDonald claimed he got mad when they ran out and she wouldn't get him more. Wilson had also been mad, she claimed, because he couldn't go back to his wife because he found out he had AIDS. Right? Wilson had been living apart from his wife for the last 2 years of his life because of his addiction. His wife, also a recovering addict, detailed how they spent years smoking crack together on a daily basis in the early part of the marriage, but Wilson had never once physically harmed her. She testified on Wednesday. The murder weapon was never found, but the jury heard recordings of calls made by McDonald from jail in which she told someone where she stashed her purse and the weapon. Just 5 months before Wilson was killed, he reported that McDonald threatened to kill him and had stabbed him, I guess. She had stabbed him a total of 4 times before and threw a VCR at him. After the Bradenton Police Department charged her with 4 counts of aggravated domestic battery with a deadly weapon and 1 count of aggravated domestic battery, the state's attorney dropped the case. So here you have a situation where there's drug use, there's alcohol, there's a toxic relationship. But in this case, a man who'd been stabbed 5 times in the back meaning these are not defensive wounds in response to him attacking her. But on top of that, 5 months prior, she had stabbed him over 4 times and threw a VCR at him. But this doesn't happen. Right? So just something else to consider. Right? Because we're looking at what doesn't seem to happen, not only in terms of Mr. Rashid, but also in terms of what most people tend to believe when it comes to intimate partner violence and Black males. Let's look at another case. This one you can find on WMBF News. Title of it, Family of 8 Indicted in Starvation Death of 14-year-old Boy. Memphis, Tennessee, several family members of a 14-year-old boy who died last year are facing indictment on first-degree felony murder charges. According to the Shelby County District Attorney's Office, a mother, her son, and her 6 daughters are charged with murder in the perpetration of aggravated child abuse and neglect of a 14-year-old Brandon Gray. Investigators say the boy was found unresponsive on the living room floor by Bartlett police and pronounced dead January 7, 2020. The autopsy showed Gray only weighed 60 pounds and died of starvation. The police also found a 12-year-old girl who was malnourished and covered in bruises. She was taken to the hospital and treated for moderate malnutrition and bruises and scars on her body, according to the DA's office. One of the, I think the grandmother in this particular dynamic had died, and that was the way she was absolved of her charges. But nevertheless, this family of 8 starved this boy to death. And yes, that is a form of abuse, but that doesn't happen. Right? So, this is sad. Let's look at another. What do we have here? This is a piece you can find on ABC7Chicago.com. Police warn of a woman stabbing people randomly on the north side. Not an abuse case as we understand it, but definitely a strange case that shows how anybody can be victimized regardless of the size of the perpetrator, especially when it comes to women. So, Chicago police are warning about 3 recent cases in which a woman stabbed a person on the north side for no apparent reason. Police said the stabbings had taken place in Edgewater, Uptown, and Lakeview. Police said the same suspect is believed to have threatened to shoot a person for no apparent reason, also on the north side. Police said in all 4 incidents, regardless of weapon used, the suspect was described as a woman, 5'6" to 5'8". In 3 of the incidents, the suspect was wearing a pink top. And as you can see, she is masked. Right? Appreciate that, Jarvis. Black Passport. Appreciate the support on the Cash App. Thank you very much. Right? So, this could be you. Standing in line at the store. Stabbed or shot for no apparent reason. But again, this doesn't happen, right? Okay. Right. Let's go forward, because we're going to expand and look at different kinds of situations. This one is an interesting one, to say the least. You can find this one on yahoo.com. It's entitled, Woman Fakes Pregnancy to Both Her Boyfriends and Has One Kill the Other with a Toilet Lid. Let me read that again. Woman fakes pregnancy to both her boyfriends and has one kill the other with a toilet lid. See, this was what's referred to as proxy violence. Let's go through it. Tommy Brown thought Christina Rodriguez was pregnant with his child. Her other boyfriend thought the baby was actually his. Both men were wrong, and one wound up dead. Tommy Lee Brown grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, and after high school, he worked for his father's janitorial service, later taking over the business. In 2004, Tommy began a relationship with co-worker Connie Moreno. Though they were together for almost a decade, their domestic bliss was punctuated by frequent breakups. He was really in love with Connie. Let's get through this. Tony wanted children. In spring 2013, Tommy and Moreno enlisted a surrogate to bear Tommy's child. Before the child arrived, however, the couple again split up. His dreams of having a child would never come true. September 7, 2013, Andrea went to Tommy's home after not hearing from him for several days, which was unusual. He didn't answer the door, so she let herself in using the spare key. Upon entering, she saw her brother lying on the floor and called 911. Hold on, let me get this in. I can pull up the rest of the story. I thought I had it all in here. I'll go to the page itself. All right. Okay. So it reads, let's see, Eunice Rodriguez and Braylon Ellis. When investigators arrived, they found Tommy Brown, 51, lying face down in a hallway outside the bathroom. He had been dead for several days. Plastic bags had been duct taped around Tommy's neck, and his hands were tied behind his back with a shoelace. He had multiple blunt force trauma injuries to the head, 9 fractured ribs, according to court documents. He had bruises and contusions all over his body. Part of his head was split open. His face looked like he had gotten into a fight with Mike Tyson. It was one of the most savage beatings I've ever seen, according to prosecutor Bill Vassar. Shards of porcelain were found on the floor around him, and 2 distinct shoe prints were identified in the dried blood on the floor. Still, the killer had tried to clean up after themselves. Bleach had been poured over Tommy's body. There were no signs of forced entry, although several items were missing from the home. This included a TV, Tommy's wallet, his car keys, and his truck. My initial feeling was this was somebody he allowed in his home, so we felt like most likely our suspects were going to be someone he knew, according to police. His missing truck matched a vehicle that was left running at a nearby convenience store the day before and had been impounded. In the back of the truck was a trash can filled with the bloody items and pieces of chipped porcelain that matched those found on Tommy's floor. The pieces, they realized, were once part of a toilet tank lid. Investigators interviewed Andrea and learned her brother was juggling 2 women at once. Besides Connie Moreno, Tommy had a new girlfriend named Christina Rodriguez. Tommy and Rodriguez became pen pals while she was incarcerated. In 2002, she had been sentenced to 10 years in prison for aggravated robbery, according to 2017 Daily News Report. The incident occurred when Rodriguez answered an ad for a home health aide for an 82-year-old man. At the end of her first day of the job, the man called his daughters in panic. When the 2 daughters got there, he was tied up with a phone cord. He's been assaulted and the house has been ransacked. That was what Christina did. Now, this is, as an aside note, before I finish the story, this is something that, brothers, you're going to have to be real guarded against, because as we are transitioning into a downturn economically, things can get pretty dangerous, and you might have to be extremely mindful of being set up, being attacked, being robbed, so on and so forth. Anybody can get it. So y'all be real careful out here, especially as things get tight. So let me skip ahead here. While in prison, Rodriguez corresponded with both Tommy and Moreno, eventually agreeing to have a baby for the couple. When she was granted early release in 2011, she started traveling to Fort Worth to see Tommy, usually when he and Moreno were in the middle of one of their frequent breakups. In spring 2013, Rodriguez told Tommy she was pregnant with his child. As with Moreno, their relationship was filled with drama. In 2013, Tommy had even filed a police report claiming Rodriguez had taken his wallet and TV. While investigators were interviewing Andrea and learning all about Rodriguez, she received a text message from someone pretending to be her brother. He says, hey, I'm going to El Paso. My girlfriend's pregnant. What do you want? I had Andrea go ahead and text his phone and say, hey, it's no problem. Just call me when you get back from El Paso, according to the police. Another crucial lead came when one of Tommy's neighbors reported seeing a man and a woman entering his home 2 days earlier. The man was a black male with long hair. The woman was heavyset and Hispanic. The description matched Christina Rodriguez, Eunice Rodriguez, and Braylon Ellis. This is the other couple. Detectives also learned that Tommy's bank debit card had been used at a 7-Eleven in Fort Worth. You see a tall black man coming in the store. He had a bandage wrapped around his hand that was consistent with our crime scene too. And the belief that somebody had injured themselves at the crime scene. Same individual was also filmed using Tommy's card at a Dollar General store in the company of Rodriguez, right? Tommy's coworker, Deborah Grimes, also received a text message from someone pretending to be Tommy. It said, my girl's in the hospital and I'm low on cash. Is there any way I can borrow some? Text messages claimed Tommy had lost his wallet, so on and so forth. So basically the way it looks, right? This particular woman, who was an ex-con in and of herself, known for committing robberies, low-level robberies at that, basically manipulated these 2 men against each other and had one kill the other with a toilet can lid. This is what it is. Apparently she's going to be featured in the episode in the June 5th, or was featured in the June 5th episode of Snapped on Oxygen. That's what's called proxy violence. See, the thing about it is, in most instances where a man has not been caught, right, All you know is one man killed another. If the man is not caught, or even if he is, he may go to jail for killing another or physically assaulting another. But it takes a degree more evidence to finally find out that this may have been instigated by a woman. So when we talk about some of the numbers in regard to intimate partner violence, one of the issues that obscures these numbers is proxy violence, proxy homicide, initiated by a woman where she charges one man to attack or kill another. And if he's caught at all, it just looks like one man being caught for attacking or killing another, when it's actually a little deeper than that. And is very much related to intimate partner violence. And you find that this tends to happen far more with women initiating it than men. Appreciate that, Chiron. Let me see. He says, appreciate all that you do, Doc. Stay safe out here, fellas. It's a hard pill to swallow. We are seen as disposable nuisances by too many in our society. Indeed. Right? But that's why I'm talking to you about proxy homicide, proxy violence, proxy assault. At the end of the day, it's not qualified formally as a form of intimate partner violence, but it is. And the numbers are hard to justify because, again, if she's not caught, it just looks like another case of one man attacking another. But it often isn't. Right? And again, it tends to happen more with men, with women using men than men using women to attack other women. Right? As a matter of fact, again, and I've said this several times, if you go look at oh man, what is his name? Psychologist. His name escapes me at the moment. Damn it. He's the author of Myth of Male Power. You guys can find him. But he talks about that in that book, and he basically makes the argument that poor women tend to use sex to instigate one man to kill another, while rich women use money, use cash as payments. So we're talking about assassins. But again, not commonly what's considered part of the discussion on intimate partner violence. Here's another case. This one involves students. Another form of abuse, but this one is not necessarily involving homicide, as it were. This is one. Appreciate that support, Charles. Thank you. This one you can find on news.com, and news is spelled KNEWZ.com. And it is about one Bridget Seiper. The title is Bridget Seiper will be forced to register as a sex offender for her very unchristlike behavior after she serves cold, hard time. It says in this piece, disgraced Cherry Hill, New Jersey high school teacher and coach is getting ready to do hard time in prison for molesting one of her male students. Blackening the name of Cherry Hill, Bridget Hill, 37, pleaded guilty to repeatedly sexually assaulting the teenager. Okay. Let me see. On Friday, the woman who was once dubbed the coolest teacher at Camden Catholic High School was sentenced to 4 years in prison. According to the probable cause document for Bridge Sapera's arrest, the teacher had sexual intercourse inside of the teenage boy's vehicle at several locations throughout Cherry Hill, including a hotel parking lot, Cooper River Park, her residence, and her mother's residence. She also sexually assaulted the boy at his home. Upon release into the Cherry Hill community, Bridget Sapera will receive lifelong parole. Yeah. This is weird. Hold on. Let me see. They seem to be getting some of the information here. Turn this thing off. Okay. So I'll put this link up in there too, so you can check this out. But again, for anybody else, this would be considered rape. And you'll notice rape was not used in the title at all. She's forced to register as a sex offender and will get lifelong parole. And whether or not we like it or not, whether we want to say the boy was violated or not, at the end of the day, it's illegal. Straight up. It's illegal. It's rape by law. He's not old enough to consent. So it is what it is. And you'll find that those laws are definitely imposed when it comes to boys, or I should say males in positions of authority. Not necessarily so with females. Here's another. Right? This one you'll find in news.yahoo.com. It's entitled Mom Allegedly Killed Son for Thwarting Her Affair. Now she's accused in murder for hire plot. New Jersey mom awaiting trial for murdering her infant son because he was getting in the way of her affair and has been hit with new charges. The time for allegedly conspiring with her boyfriend in a murder for hire plot. Heather Reynolds, 43, and boyfriend, 44-year-old Jeffrey Callahan, were charged this week with first-degree murder or conspiracy to commit murder by the Camden County Prosecutor's Office. Reynolds was already being held at Camden County Jail on a slew of charges, including murder and endangering the welfare of a child in connection to the May 10, 2018 death of her 17-month-old son, Axel Reynolds. During the investigation into Axel's death, detectives uncovered evidence that Reynolds and Callahan were allegedly conspiring to have another individual killed. Prosecutors said in a news release announcing the charges. Details of the murder for hire scheme have not yet been released. But these things don't happen. Okay, well, let's keep going. And you'll notice I'm not talking about just one group of women. I'm just talking about male vulnerability. This piece you will find here, you can find on yahoo.com, right? It's entitled, Woman Scalds 81-Year-Old Husband with Deadly Mixture of Water, Sugar to Extract Revenge. Woman seeking to extract revenge against her husband has been found guilty of scalding him to death with a fatal mixture of boiling water and sugar. Karina Smith, 59, was convicted of murder for the July 14, 2020 attack of her 81-year-old husband, Michael Baines, at their shared home in Neston, Cheshire, England, right? Smith filled a garden bucket with scalding hot liquid and threw it onto Baines' arms and torso as he slept. She then fled to a neighbor's house and admitted what she had done, according to local news. She said, I hurt him really bad. I think I've killed him. The liquid caused the flesh of his arm and hand to peel off. The sugar placed into the water made it viscous, said Detective Chief Inspector Paul Hughes. It becomes thicker and stickier and sinks into the skin better. It left Michael in agony, and rather than call the emergency services, she wasted time by going to a house 9 doors away to tell a neighbor she wasn't very close to what she had done. Baines initially survived the attack and was rushed to a hospital. However, he died of his injuries a month later. I've known men that have told me that it's impossible for them to be abused because they're stronger than any woman they've met, physically speaking. This would be one of those cases I would ask about. You strong enough to handle a bucket full of scalding water and sugar while you're asleep? Good luck. This is what we're talking about. But something I want to point out too, when it comes to how we in African American culture consider these issues, we tend to make light of them. These tend to be jokes. These are funny, right? So this is a clip that many of you guys are familiar with from Barbershop 2. I'm only going to play the sound because I don't want the video flagged or whatever. This might be a scene that some of you guys remember. Check it out.
Of it. So the next time you want to call yourself sleeping around behind somebody's back, first of all, make sure she look like something, because I heard all of your little shit. Your cell called the house and I heard all 2 minutes of it, baby. No, I didn't hear it. Are you trying to call me a lie? And I don't even see how you could cheat on me anyway with your little toddler penis. But I'm gonna tell you what, I hope you had a good time, because the next time you come back to the house, I'm gonna get medieval on your ass. I mean, I got a sword, I got an axe, a box of bullets, and I'm gonna get both of my baby daddies to jump on that ass.
She gotta have both of them for her, huh?
Ooh, hey. Ooh. Like I was saying, they build a titty bar across the street, huh? No, I ain't never going home.
Boy, you couldn't go home if you wanted to.
It's funny, right? Jokes. We just playing around. This shit doesn't happen, right? It's all games. Word. So whether it's a joke, like in Barbershop 2, or you have a celebrity, and I still to this day have no idea why we go to celebrities looking for any kind of accuracy, but regardless of what it is, we do these things hoping to get some kind of information, and we're told all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, let's actually look at what's occurring on the ground. Now, again, go check Green Gorilla's show where he goes into depth as far as the data. I have other shows where I've done that, but this time I wanted to do something that was strictly anecdotal based because I wanted you to see that men are vulnerable in general, black men in particular. And that being said, this is nothing to be taken lightly. It can range from black boys being victimized sexually, to men being beat up and attacked, to men being killed. It can happen across age. It can happen across class. It can happen across national boundaries, right? One of the stories I presented was from England, and I did that on purpose. I'm trying to show you that these things may be treated as isolated incidents in specific locales, but at the end of the day, they happen all the time. We're just not necessarily told. I mean, these stories sometimes hit the news, but even then, two things we notice. One, they rarely use the terms that they would use for male aggressors in the same situations. I've been reporting on the sexual violation of boys for years. Rarely do I find an article that actually uses the word rape when it comes to female aggressors. Rarely. And two, the other thing we notice is that even though these stories are made and they're technically reported, they're not really given any widespread, momentum. They're not reported on any large scale. So you can find them if you go look for them, and people are kind enough to send them to me, and shout out to those of you that do. Please continue to do so. But at the end of the day, they're rare because they're not promoted. But they are when male aggressors are involved. In other words, when the aggressions take place in a way that confirm our biases and our assumptions, they get promoted. When they go against those biases and assumptions, regardless of the data showing that in the black community, rates of abuse are not equal, coming from men to women and women to men, with women actually initiating aggression to a greater degree, initiating hostilities, even physical abuse to a greater degree, nobody says anything. Goes against what we know, right? So anyway, like I said, I'm not gonna hold you guys long. I just wanted to present a couple of cases to you. I apologize for how long some of them took, but I just wanted to put some up there just to add something to your thought process, and in many ways give some of you some evidence as you're having casual conversations about these kind of things, and you might want to use these particular anecdotes to drive your point home. I will make it a point after the video to go ahead and paste a few things in there, some links that you can use to get to the very stories I'm talking about, and make your point, brothers. But not for the sake of just arguing to be arguing, but for the sake of hopefully not only understanding what men and boys go through, but helping to prevent it by letting men and boys know. Appreciate that, K1. Letting men and boys know that you do need to be careful. Now, I want to go back real quick and thank Xavier, for the contribution. He says, better sleep with one eye open. And I want to welcome Maj Not as a new member. Welcome to the Onyx Brotherhood. But to any of you that have any of these kind of stories, you can feel free to go to my website, thasanjohnson.com. You can email me from there. If you're on Facebook, you can also message me in Facebook Messenger. I get those as well. Sometimes even on Twitter, you can direct message me there. But, send me some information so that we can actually kind of get this out. And really, at the end of the day, what I want to let boys and men know is that you need to be thinking about these things. You need to be aware of it, most particularly in the times we're in, where things are vulnerable for men. The economy has been getting more and more challenging. We know that more and more people are finding themselves without a place to live, without labor. All these kind of things are definitely happening. And it's a dangerous time period, really. Homelessness has been through the roof, especially for black males, even though it's often not reported. So all the more reason we need to stay informed and to help each other. All right. So that said, you guys enjoy your evening. Remember to share what you can with me. Feel free to comment in the comment section. If you have other articles to share, you can also share them there. And I wish you the best. Much appreciated for being here. I'll take it easy.